Hello and welcome or welcome back to the Rise and Align podcast, where we talk about all things high vibrational. We are your hosts. My name is Demi.
And I'm Haley. And on today's episode of Rise and Align, we're diving into a conversation that blends spirituality, sustainability, and deep womb wisdom. For centuries, women's cycles were honored as sacred, a time for renewal, creativity, and connection to the rhythms of the earth. Somewhere along the way, that reverence was lost, replaced with stigma and even harmful products that keep us disconnected from our bodies.
Our guest today is on a mission to change that. She's the founder of Flower Girl, a sustainable and non-toxic period underwear brand created to help women feel safe, confident, and aligned with their natural cycles. In this conversation, we'll explore the hidden toxins in mainstream menstrual products, how reconnecting with our cycles can raise our frequency, and practical ways to live in harmony with our bodies while manifesting with our natural rhythms.
You can change your entire life by just changing one habit. Subscribe to our podcast and make listening a habit.
Change your mindset, manifest your dream life, and live magically with Rise and Align.
Raising the frequency one episode at a time.
Everything is always working out for us.
My name's Ariel. I am the founder of a new sustainable and non-toxic period underwear brand called Flower Girl. I launched it just the end of 2024, so we're coming up on almost a year of being live right now after 2 years of product development. So my background is in e-commerce and marketing. So, I naively went into launching this product thinking, oh, I can throw a website up. I want to have my own brand, all the like fun stuff that I knew how to do. However, product development is quite a beast. It gave me such an appreciation, for like the garments that we wear and especially a product that has to function for women, right? So I was like, okay, I can't just I'm not just launching underwear or t-shirts. Like this has to work for women because it's like a very important time of the month. So after 2 years of really just immersing myself in the world of textiles and taking advantage, I live in Los Angeles, of the fact that I live in LA, I produce the product in LA. I wanted to be a part of the process so I could really learn. After 2 years, I found I was quite comfortable with the product and ready to launch with it. I've gotten amazing feedback from women. Of course, I'm always looking to iterate and make it better, but I'm quite happy with what I've landed on. It's made using all body safe materials, which, is something I learned throughout this journey. Unfortunately, a lot of our menstrual products are not. The first study ever was done on tampons just last year in 2024, and they found, unfortunately, heavy metals, lead, a lot of toxic products or chemicals, excuse me, in all of the products that were sampled. So it really felt as horrible as that news was, like a really beautiful synchronicity to starting this product in particular, because it felt like it came at a time where women really need this product. So
Yeah, absolutely.
Mhm.
I love that story. I went to school for fashion merchandising, so the behind the scenes of this is so fascinating to me. I love
yeah.
kind of hearing about that. How do you feel like while you were navigating that and obviously just that whole process can be really crazy and difficult. How did you pair that with also making sure that the values of your brand were maintained, like, and making sure that it was like sustainable, but also like realistic for your company?
Right, right. It was just a lot of learning and iterating along the way, right? As I myself was becoming familiar with textiles and everything, I was like, oh, cool. Like there's something even better that I can use. So I think that's why it took so long, 2 years, to like actually go to market, because I've learned along the way too. Like I think I'm a bit of a perfectionist and I wanted to launch with something that would resonate with women. And interestingly enough, when I launched the brand, as somebody who wore period underwear from other brands, who hated wearing pads and tampons, for me, the initial message was I want to design something that's cute. Why are there no just like cute options for women like that felt like regular underwear? So that was the initial concept, but I did find that message evolved the more I talked to women. And the sustainable, non-toxic, PFAS-free message is what really hit. So I also, coming from an e-commerce background, I learned that, you're constantly kind of like testing your messages to see what really resonates with your customer and then really lean in there to what's working. Um, so kind of just testing all of those value props and then honing in on which ones really resonated with the customer is kind of like what I'm constantly doing, honestly.
Hmm. So with a background in e-commerce, you truly could have chose anything to sell. I feel like
Yeah.
there's maybe a backstory to why you chose this product, and I am really interested in why this is what you chose.
Yeah, I've been sharing for a while that to your point, like, yeah, fashion felt really saturated. So I
Hmm.
didn't want to just come out with another brand. I really wanted to solve a problem. So I thought about what problems I was dealing with in my own life. And again, as somebody who hated wearing pads and tampons, for me, those products never energetically like really sat right with me. Like they were
Hmm.
uncomfortable. They would irritate my skin. It felt like a band-aid almost on this like problem, and I wanted to be a part of flipping that narrative. So for me, I'm a bit of like a self-proclaimed like witchy woman. Like I love the holistic, like very spiritual. So for me, like our cycles are what creates life. And I wanted to go back to honoring that and creating a product that allows women to feel like we are honoring that in how we experience it. So in, a product that is comfortable and cute and that feels like, a normal part of our day to day. Um, and that allows us to also that allows our body to energetically process our flow. Like I'm just such a big believer that it should be something that like comes out of us instead of,
Hmm.
using a tampon or one of those cups where it's ultimately blocking like in your body and system. And unfortunately, I really do feel that that's why a lot of women experience debilitating periods and heavy flows and horrible symptoms of PMS because we're given these shitty products to manage our cycles when in reality we should be looking for ways to experience them as normally as possible.
Absolutely. And personally, I'm like huge into wearing and using as many natural materials as possible. And I have read several studies now that are saying polyester can actually make both men and women infertile. So I'm like so pumped about your brand. Immediately, I was like, what do they make it out of? Can you
Yeah.
tell us a little bit how you figured out, like, how am I going to formulate these? Like, how am I going to make this aligned to what I truly want?
Yeah, totally. So when I first started, I learned about the process of sampling. And as you guys are probably a bit aware with given your backgrounds, in fashion, sampling is when you're like testing the water, testing the fabric and everything, right? So I initially started with a Supima cotton, and look, there's a lot of great cottons out there. But then I found out about Tencel modal, and Tencel is ultimately a fabric that's derived from trees in an extremely sustainable process is how the fiber is created. So once I learned that, I was like, ooh, I love this. I also loved the fit and feel of it. So I made like 5 different samples of the body of my underwear because I wanted to perfect the fit and the feel, but also because I kept finding and sourcing new fabric. And then each time you find new fabric, you need to create a new sample because you don't want to go into a production run with like not having sampled something because that could be a nightmare. So I had to keep creating these samples. And then the gusset of the underwear, which is the crotch area, um, and then the reusable pads. I made like over 100 different iterations of the pad and testing the absorbency because again, I kept finding different fabrics that were great for absorbency, that were comfortable. I kept finding thinner. I wanted it to be like as thin as possible. And I wanted it to be again PFAS free, toxic free, phthalate, lead free of all of the horrible things that they were finding in all of our conventional underwear and period products.
Mhm.
So once I was able to source that, yeah, I just went through so many iterations and finally constructed together. My best-selling styles are made with the Tencel model with the completely free, non-toxic, PFAS-free gusset and crotch area.
Amazing. And I love that they're cute too. Like
Yeah.
that is the
Thank
best. It's so
you.
hard to find cute ones. It truly
It
is.
is. Yeah. Cute and comfortable.
Mhm.
Yes, it's actually so admirable how you weren't just like, "Oh, I'm just going to create a product to make a product." I love like the
Mhm.
everything that you did to like create the perfect period underwear. Like it's comfortable, it's cute, and it has like all the qualities that we would look for. And you've even asked advice from other women. So I just think that that is so amazing. And thank you so
Thank
much for
you.
doing that. I also love that you went like right to the energy behind this. And I am witchy woo woo as well. So I
Yeah.
love this. And I just think it is so important to not just support our body physically with things that are non-toxic and good for us, but also that has an impact on us energetically. And I would
Mhm.
love for you, if you are open to it, to speaking about how using a product like this can actually raise our vibration as opposed to some of the disposable, more toxic versions of period care that we use.
Yeah. Yeah, totally. So, there's a lot of old Chinese wisdom and I'm going to butcher this word. I can never say it, but Ayurveda, studies around how our flow should energetically exit our bodies. It's normal. Tampons were invented in 1931 by a man, in fact.
Hmm.
So, of course, like, I just feel like it's really important for women to be creating the products that we're using during our
Mhm.
cycles. And a lot of what I've learned about our cycle through this journey has only gone on to help me with like my day-to-day spiritual energy practices too, right? So, for example, I learned about something called cycle syncing. And what's incredible to me as well as a woman who's now in her mid 30s, we are little girls when we get our period, and we are not taught anything about our bodies. At least, I wasn't. And most women I talk to, we aren't taught anything about our cycles or what we're experiencing. And so through this journey, learned about cycle syncing and how we as women, we're cyclical beings. We go through
Mhm.
28-day hormonal cycles, which, by the way, we have a circadian rhythm, which is the 24-hour cycle, but our society is built around this circadian rhythm, this 24-hour day, which is actually more so in support of a male's body,
Mhm.
right?
Yep.
So their hormones fluctuate in a 24-hour cycle. So all of that to say, we are 28-day cyclical beings, and learning and understanding what our four phases are has been so game changing for me and has helped me understand who I am, because also there have been studies done on the female brain during each of these four phases, and we in fact have a different brain during each phase of our cycle. Like, we are different beings. I am so impacted, my mood, my social calendar. I now plan around my phases, how I move my body, even down to like the food that I eat. All of this is so important. And it's another big message that I want to share with the brand and educating women, on these phases and how understanding them and working with them can really optimize our lives.
Absolutely. We actually have two episodes on that exact topic.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
so, so important. I mean, as a woman, I agree. I was never taught anything about that. Like, there's a certain time in the month where you're going to be exhausted. There's a certain time
Yeah.
in the month where you're going to have more energy. Even the amount of people that have no idea the days that you can and cannot get pregnant during your
Yeah.
cycle is mind-blowing. We need to be so much more in touch with that as women and not so harsh and rigid with ourselves if we're not, getting a certain amount of work done every single day. We are not men. We do not operate the same.
Mhm.
Totally, 100%.
Yes. And instead of like it's so important to reframe that like narrative of like guilt or shame around our own cycles. And when you do start to empower yourself with learning some of this information, it really changes, I think, how you view your cycle. And it actually becomes something that you can work with and be empowered by instead of like it's a problem that you have to, try to fix or solve. And it's a
It
struggle. Like you can
100.
make magic happen with it. I think it's so special. And you've kind of already answered that with the cycle syncing, but I'm curious if there's anything else that you have kind of learned or changed as you've gone through this process to make your period feel more like nourishing or, you know, treat it like the sacred uh, thing that it is.
Yeah, truly. I have finally, I feel like, learned that we as women need to understand we need rest. We need time to reset. Like, that is ultimately what our cycles are and what our bodies are asking for during our luteal phase, entering menstruation. And, with cycle syncing, like with anything, all of our bodies are so different. So we can all experience our phases even differently from these guidelines that, I'm sharing. But from a top level, like typically what our bodies need during this time is rest, is, relaxation, is to take a step away from this society that nowadays is so go, go, go. And we live in such a gratification craving society with social media. It makes me like really upset and we're concerned as a woman, that we are expected to operate at this level all the time when in reality, something that I've learned and something that I try so hard to practice is taking a step back from it all, especially at the times that my body is asking for rest and relaxation, and just putting it all down, putting it all away, taking a step back from it and just sitting and being with myself and in my own body. And it's something that I hope to share again with like women through this journey, that like when you allow yourself that space and that time, we as women, we are the most intuitive beings, okay? Like we are portals of life and the universe. And I think that it's important for us to have this time to like sit and just be, because we get so many downloads when we do that. And we hold so many answers within, and I think a lot of times even like getting caught up in like the day to day, or when you're like frazzled or stressed and like, what should I do? It's like if you just allow yourself the time and the space to be and sit and quiet, you get so many downloads. And so you just know what you need to do and you learn. And it's not something, that happens like right away. Like I hate to phrase it meditate or meditation, because I feel like when like people often get like intimidated by that. But in fact, to like meditate and whatever that looks like for you, whether it's going on a walk without your phone or like just sitting and being for like starting with 5 minutes a day, like getting in practice and doing that is life changing.
That's so good.
Yes, it's so powerful to hear you as a business owner say that, because I think so many people, especially women in business, get caught up in the
Yeah.
doing, doing, doing and achieving of it. And I do believe that, especially as women, it's so powerful to be able to ground into yourself and to be
Mhm.
open to receiving those messages. And
Totally.
honestly, that was going to be my next question for you. Where did you begin with the business process?
Oh my gosh. I feel like my whole life I've kind of always wanted to do something impactful, right? So for me, my whole life I was constantly like, what am I going to do? What's going to be the thing? And like I shared, I started in e-commerce and in corporate fashion, and then I ended up incorporating myself so I could work as a consultant, work on multiple projects, and I always thought that that would kind of like scratch that entrepreneurial itch. However, it didn't. So then I was like, okay, you know what? Like I want my own thing. And
Mhm.
now this brand like finally feels like it's that thing. And I will say though, this conversation with you two is actually even more so like what ultimately I feel like my message that I want to share with the world is not even just the period panties and the product, right? Like that almost felt like it was like the product, the brand to get me here to have like the conversation we're having right now about women getting back in their power, getting back in their own bodies. Like that is like where I'm kind of like even still trying to figure out like that feels more like the message, versus like the product
Mhm.
itself. And I feel like it's just like an ever evolving journey, and I'm still trying to figure out like what is like the business. What am I going to do when I like grow up? Like what am I? It's like an ever evolving.
Same.
Yeah, yeah. I think we're all just trying to do our best and figure it out.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like it comes back to us being cyclical beings, though. Like
Yeah.
like, Mother Earth, we have death and rebirth. Like we're always,
Yes.
re-becoming. And so that's so special. And it also makes me think of, the womb is the place where creation, where
Hmm.
the portal of creation, and it's not just for babies, but also it's like the portal of our creativity, ideas, and bringing our visions into the world. And I feel like I see you doing that so clearly with this business. Like you are like birthing this wonderful brand into the world. And I think it's so important also for women to like understand the more you take care of your womb and you're using products that feel
Hmm.
good and are literally good for your body, you open space for the portal too. Like you open space to be more creative and connect to your intuition more, and to be able to just live more in alignment, I feel like, with what you really want, because you feel more connected to that.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you so much for sharing that. Yes, that's the point. That right there, I feel like that just nailed the entire message.
Oh. I have another concept that I'm curious, like if you have any advice or tips for women. I feel like women can have such a scarcity mindset about investing in like products for themselves. Like I've known women who've had the same like bra for 10,
Yeah.
12 years. It doesn't even fit right, but they just feel guilty about like investing in a really nice bra that fits good. And I feel like, in my opinion, it's so important to invest in those products, especially when they're touching your most sacred parts. Like you will feel that as an energy, and you'll just feel more empowered. And I believe so much in it, in investing in products like that. But I'm just curious, like, what your opinion is on that, or like tips for people who are a little nervous to like splurge on themselves.
Yeah, definitely. I have the same mindset. For me, it's always been like a no-brainer. Like spending more money on a quality item that is, safe for your body, that allows your body to operate in its natural function has just always made sense to me. But for somebody who is perhaps hesitant about it, I would look at that opportunity, that cost over time, and how not investing it is going to make worse of an impact on you than just making the upfront investment. So, there is a cost saving advantage over time when you think about how much you spend on quality
Mhm.
disposable care products, right? Um, and while the underwear, yes, is a bit of an investment up front, it's tested to withstand over 300 washes. Like it's using top quality material. If you take care of it well, like it will last even longer than that. And I would also, look at the factors that it has, or the impact that it has on our bodies. Unfortunately, women's bodies are hardly included, or just started recently to be included in medical studies. There is so little research on our cycles, on PCOS, on endo, a lot of these menstrual symptoms that are affecting women. So we very often have to be advocates for ourselves. And for me, that means investing in the best possible products up front, because I don't trust what our society is giving us to use. And when you think about why debilitating periods are starting to become more of an issue, why infertility is on the rise, why these horrible cancers are on the rise, you have to start thinking about what you're using globally, not just for our cycles, but when you think about skincare, when we think about fragrances, makeup, like all of these things are directly impacting our hormones. Our skin is our largest organ. Our vaginal wall is 10 times more absorbent than our skin. So I just like to think holistically about the cost of not investing in quality products, and how that is going to have much more of an impact on me that I'm going to have to then, solve for, versus just paying up front for some of these items.
Yeah, it's so absolutely worth it, and
Yeah.
we only get one body, truly.
Yeah.
So, different subject, similar question. as a woman in business, I think one, to be an entrepreneur, you've got to be brave in the first place. You must have some sort of self-belief that this concept is going to work out for me. And I think lack versus abundance mindset is massive there because starting a business, you might have to invest your own money. You might not have investors, or maybe you have to search investors and, put yourself out there for them and your idea. Can you tell us a little bit about that and your journey with that?
Yeah, absolutely. Again, I've always been someone who like it like eats me at night that I'm like, what am I gonna do?
Hmm.
I'm like, I always wanted to do my own thing. So I think one, having that mindset is what separated me from somebody who perhaps isn't wanting to be an entrepreneur. And I think nowadays our society, and especially with social media, like you hear entrepreneur, like it's so glamorous and this and that, when in fact, like it's so not glamorous at all. And it's like so hard. And I just want to like preface by saying all of that because I don't think that everybody needs to be an entrepreneur nowadays, and like it's okay if you want to like just have a job and like go to work and make a living, and that is so fine. Um, but yeah, because we glorify it, I think so many people like work towards wanting to do that. But for me, it really got to a point in my career where I was just really unhappy working for other people. And look, I am still consulting and I still have part-time clients because I did bootstrap the business and I need to sustain my life. And I did, put everything that I have into launching this business. And for me, it was just more so, it just became like it wasn't a question anymore. Like it was
Hmm.
like I have to do this. And it's really scary and super risky. And I think that also having a consulting background helped me, learn the ebbs and flows of monthly income, right? Like I was able to learn, like I'm very good at like with my savings, right? Which I think is something really important. You have to be like very financially literate to start a business. Um, so yeah, I think I already had a couple of like those things in place to be able to like take this leap then. And yeah, having a consulting background definitely helped.
Hmm. Well, I, for one, believe that what you put out, you get back, and you are putting something very high vibrational out there. So I
Thank you.
definitely believe it's going to pay off for you. And thank you for being brave enough to do this for women. We need
Thank
it.
you. Appreciate that.
And I love you kind of made the point of like, I had no other choice but for it to work out. And I think that that is such an important belief for so many people, or for people to have, because when you say like, there's no other way, this is the option, this is the only option, like it has to work out, you like are setting yourself up for that
Yeah.
success because you're like, there's no other way. Like you create that for yourself. So I think that that is also super admirable and something that so many of us can learn from. And for those of us who want to be entrepreneurs, that's just super helpful
Hmm.
advice. And
Thank you.
it's
Yeah.
very inspirational.
Yeah,
Thank you.
absolutely.
Appreciate that.
Also, when your soul is yearning for a certain idea, like you were saying, like you just, what am I going to do, right? It's
Yeah.
so, so important to follow that, especially as women listen to your intuition.
Yes.
I think
Yes.
one of my favorite things I've ever heard was if you have a soul yearning like that and you're not acting on it because you're kind of acting out of fear, right? That you are doing a disservice to the world. And I
Hmm.
think that you are such a testament to that because what a service you are doing to the world.
Thank you. I
And
very
it,
much appreciate that.
it also makes me think of you were talking about free bleeding and like
Yeah.
not blocking the flow. And
Hmm.
that quite literally is what you can do while wearing period underwear, but it's also kind of like energetically representative. You're like blocking your, like if you're having a tampon shoved up,
Yeah.
you're
I've,
blocking your
yes. Yeah.
boom from the creativity energy from
I
flowing out of you.
fully think that it's like stunting women's abilities. Yes.
Hmm. Yeah, absolutely. Well, if you have no more questions, I
Oh,
just do you? Do you?
no, I probably do, but I feel like we've definitely covered like the majority of the message that I think is so important to share. And I feel like the more we talk about women and women's health and successful women and women in business, like I could do this all day, every day.
Yes,
It's so
me
important and
too.
much needed. And it's so amazing to see someone that is just embodying their purpose and sharing their message, and also offering a very valuable service to the world. And I also, as we finish up, I just want to make sure if there's anything else that you would love to share that we didn't touch on that you think would be really amazing to make sure that our listeners get out of this episode as well.
Yeah, I also thank you so much for the conversation and for leading it to where it went about like women and just like listening to our gut and our intuition is like the ultimate message for me. And also, to the point of like if you have that curiosity about being an entrepreneur, I think that a lot of women also get stunted in the um phase of like I have to have a whole strategy ready. I have to have a launch plan. I have to have like all of these things in order to like do the thing. And my advice would be like, just start. Just start talking about it. Do a little bit every day, working on it, and like it will all fall into place. Like, don't let fear stunt you. And especially like, don't let the thought that you need to have like all of these things in place. Like, just start and just do it. And like things just start to happen when you start doing that. So that would be the one message I'd like to also like leave women with.
Oh, I love that. That's so good. It's like, uh, so it's like that intuitive thing again, right? It
Mhm.
comes back to like that feminine energy. You follow
Yeah.
your intuition along the way, whereas like it's very masculine to set up the strategy and think out 12
Mhm.
months from now, and like
Right.
and
Have
I
it
think
all.
that that just doesn't feel good for a lot of women. Like I don't want to think about fall next year. Like I want to
Yeah.
think about fall this year. I want to be
Right.
here. Um,
Right.
so that's really lovely. And I also want to give you the opportunity to share where our listeners can find you and where they can shop for your lovely, sustainable, non-toxic period underwear.
Yes. So my website is flowergirl.co. You can find all the product there. There's a contact form. My email is there. It's hello@flowergirl.co. So if anyone has any questions, not just about the product, but like your cycle or starting a business or like anything, you can reach me there. You can also DM me on Instagram. It's at flowergirl.co with an underscore at the end. If you're DMing the page, you're talking to me. If you're emailing, you're talking to me. So, would love to hear from anyone if you have any questions.
Amazing. Thank you so much for everything that you're doing and for joining us. It has been an absolute pleasure.
Agreed.
Thank you both so much for sharing your space. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing your energy, and we'll be in touch when the episode is
Thank
out.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye. All right. So, as per usual, we're going to pull a card for you and see what the message is for the day. Do we take it? Harvest. Oh my god, cute. It's a fall vibe.
That is perfect for this time of year. We just had the fall equinox, or the autumn equinox, which is one of the last harvests.
It says determination and hard work, and it has a moon and a bunch of pumpkins and corn and squash. It looks super magical, kind of Halloween-y, definitely very fall vibes.
This is interesting. It's the very last card
Ooh.
on the list. So, harvest time means hard work. It's time to reap the results of sowing and tending, and that usually means a lot of effort concentrated in a short period of time. This time can be just as exhausting as when you sowed your seeds, but it's a necessary part of the successful growing season. Sometimes you might think that it's all about sitting back and enjoying the fruits of your labor. It's important to appreciate your success, but don't lose your way. The Harvest card directs you to collect your bounty, to recognize your blessings, and not stop working too early. You're almost there, but you still have things to see through. Work to recoup the energy you've previously invested. And a little reflection question. Are you burning out of too much hard work too quickly? How can you give yourself support as you reap the bounty of your efforts?
That is so good. I also feel like that's a message I've been personally receiving lately. One, like, I feel like there's this internal, like, stress to, like, do more, do more, do more. What are you doing next? Like, you need to make more money. It's an American thing, I think. And then there's this other part of me that, like, today just sat down and realized, like, I've been doing a lot. I'm making plenty of money. Like, I'm just fine. I've been working plenty hard. I don't have to be mean to me or stressed out about this. I can just calm down and accept and appreciate what I have. And I feel like I am at a point where I'm, like, regathering, like, focusing on what I truly love doing and doing it in a way that, like, honors myself and is in sync with my cycle, you know. So I'm not, like, it's not forceful pressure, but it's allowing flow.
Yes. And I feel like similar for me, you're drawing focus into more of what matters, but also, like, I mean, you know that takes effort and work, but it's worth it, because if it's something you're passionate about and dedicated to, like, it does take work to bring that to life. And I feel like for me, sometimes I just kind of, I feel like I am always doing something, but it's almost like I'm doing too much of too much. Like I'm doing, or too little of too much, where I need to, like, kind of maybe make my basket a little smaller and, like, focus on, like, the value that basket adds versus, like, a larger basket with, like, little pieces of a fruit instead of, like, you know, the full delicious fruit in your one small basket. I don't know.
Yeah.
Super interesting.
I totally feel that way too. So good.
Yes.
All right. Well, with that, thank you for joining us. And as always, thank you for helping us raise the frequency. We hope you enjoyed this episode, and we'll see you in the next one.
Bye.
Bye.